Hi, my name is Ads, and I'm an English teacher. I've been teaching English for about 7 years already. I've taught English in China, I've taught English from South Africa to China, and for the last 5 years, I've mainly just been an online teacher. And my experiences with being an online teacher has been a very big mixture of feelings. I've had good experiences, I've had bad experiences. So today I wanted to share with you my pros and cons list for this. My pros and cons list for teaching English online. So to start with the pros, obviously it's going to be simple and you can say, I can work from the comfort of my own home. And that's always great. It's nice to be able to stay at home and not really go anywhere. But that also comes with some bad sides, which I will talk about later. But what comes with working in what comes with working in the comfort of your own home also allows you to do some homely chores that you don't usually get to do on a normal basis if you have a job working outside of your house or something like that, which is really, really useful. I get to clean the house, I get to make some food for the people that come home in the afternoons for my wife and kids, so it's a lot of fun, and I get to see them come home and see them how kind of guess how their day was. You can, for my second point, you can kind of choose your hours when you're initially starting with a business or starting with an online teaching company. You have to tell them what your hours would be, what hours you are available for. And I find that that's actually quite a nice thing. You can initially start yourself off with providing yourself with 4 hours a day, and it's usually, well, nah. And 4 hours a day usually accounts to about a decent amount of hours in a week if you do 4 hours a day from Monday to Friday, which can get you through the month and some places, which is kind of good. I feel like that's a very nice way to spend your day. You can also have some time in the morning to do stuff. You can have some time in the afternoon to do stuff depending on when it lies in your time zone, and that's a very useful thing. Another cool thing about these classes, which are only a specific time in the day, sometimes you can move your classes out to other days, or you could even move your classes in that day to a different time, depending on if you have to finish something specific that day, or if you have plans that you needed to if you had plans that you needed to commit to that are not about for the teaching. Usually you will get some leniency with that. Usually they'll have a lot of freedom for you to just still be a human, other than just a working rat, which is not always nice to have that. So that's definitely a pro that I can say from my experiences, from working with smaller companies, working with bigger companies. You usually can move your hours around a little bit. Some companies don't allow it at all. I know some people who can't move their hours, and it's kind of almost a sin to move your hours. So if you're there, I would recommend you just try and find somewhere where you have a little bit more flexibility, that you are still a human. Another pro, if I'm gonna come, yeah, for our last pro, I want to say you get to know a lot of cultures and things about other countries. I could go on and on about all of the different cool things that you learn, but the special and valuable thing is you get to see what other people experience that you probably never would have experienced. For me, I live in the countryside. I've never really been to a big city other than China and other places in South Africa. And I've been in China now. I've been to Beijing, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Xi'an, I've been to a few places, and I saw what it's like, and it's just a whole different world. It's a whole different experience to life it's a whole different experience to life as I ever experienced. And I was almost jealous in a way, but I knew that I was thankful for what I had, because my childhood and my upbringing was completely different to what it would be like for someone in the city. Um, you can get to know so many different things just through that alone. You can know old cultures in China. Every student has their own story and every student has their own interest. There's sports you probably never knew was in China, or I'm speaking a lot about China because that's usually where you would go with online teaching, but you could teach for so many different countries. That could be my next pro. For the next pro, there are so many different countries that you can teach to. If your time zone doesn't coincide with a different time zone, or if your time zone doesn't coincide with the country that you are specifically looking for to teach, maybe you can try a different one. There are so many different time zones in the world that you could try your best to contact a different country and try get some work there. It is possible. It's just going to take you a bit longer, and that's okay. That's where we start with the cons. Online teaching can be unpredictable. It's just a given. Every single job that one does can be very unpredictable. It's just the way the boat floats. Every job has unpredictabilities. Every job has parts where sometimes things just don't make sense. And that's just something you have to deal with head on. And yeah, I mean, you have to deal with head on. If you let these things get you down, that is where you know you're not kind of in the right field, or you need to start looking at things differently. It is always good in the online teaching community to look at things in a positive way, other than seeing, oh no, I made this big mistake, how can I fix this mistake? Take a breath and continue forward. Sometimes you will lose classes just 2 minutes before your class was about to start. And unfortunately, my next point, you only work per hour. If your student doesn't show or you don't show for that lesson, you don't get paid for that lesson. No work, no pay. And that's how it is. Because if you think about it, what is the person then actually paying for? It is good to kind of get a business where you would still get paid if the class was cancelled just before, if there is a specific hour time or a specific time that has to go. How can I say that? If the student cancels 24 hours before the class begins, you don't get paid. If they cancel before that time, then you should get paid, or maybe make it short to like 4 hours. That's usually something that kind of gets you, because you could have done something else in that hour and now you're just stuck with having to do nothing and waiting for your next class, and then you don't get paid at the end of the month for it, which kind of gets really frustrating. Another thing that can be a very big con is it can give you strange hours, where you can have these phenomenal times where you have great hours. You can also have really bad hours. For me specifically, in Chinese time, when it's midnight for me, they start their day. There it's 6 o'clock in the morning. So I am kind of missing out on 12 hours of work, where I would have to get up at midnight. It's not always to say that they are going to have classes that time, but it is a bit of an inconvenience for me to have that like bottleneck, I could say. Another con could be no holidays. As you're an online teacher, you're kind of considered as an extracurricular. So you're just an extra class to be added on top of their pre-existing classes initially. So you are just an extra class, so why would you stop giving this class during my holidays? The people in other countries don't necessarily celebrate the same holidays as you do in your country, depending on wherever in the world you come from. But not everybody celebrates the same holidays at the same time. So if they have a holiday, I might not have a holiday in my country. So they might take off, and then my whole family still has to go work, but I get to stay home and do nothing. Where when everybody is on holiday here, then somewhere else in the world they might not be, and then I would still have to work every single day, even though we go somewhere. And that's a cool thing, though. You can work somewhere else. A big problem that a lot of people face, coming into our next con, could be isolation. When you're working in one area and you're staying in your house for long periods of time, it can become very taxing on your brain, It can make you feel lonely. It can make you feel like, I don't know, there's nobody around you. It's just you. You're dealing with just yourself. It can be quite, mm, it can be quite hard to deal with something like that. But a thing that I found helped me a lot with that specifically was when we moved, I started working outside of my bedroom. When you work inside your bedroom, you get up, you go sit at your computer, and you start working. That kind of makes you feel like there is no connection, there is no disconnect between work and relax. Because where you relax, you work, and where you work, you relax. And that's no good. If you're doing that, you're just having a detriment on your sleep, you're having a detriment on your work. So it's just not a good it's not a good combination. So what I've done to help with these isolation problems is I've started working in a separate office. I know not everybody has that like luxury to do that, but you can make a plan in your bedroom, kind of block yourself off from your bedroom. Don't go sit at your computer at specific hours of the day and those kinds of things. Make a schedule to make it easier for yourself to handle. All of these things can help you in the end, and that's what's important. Another very big con that you can have when online teaching is you can have a big disconnect between students, because sometimes you want to explain something that is not that simple of a concept to explain. You can't use the internet to explain it. You can't really explain it in words. Sometimes the student is too young to actually understand you, and they can't even read the translations. And in these cases, you kind of just want to reach through the screen and like explain it to them, show them how it's done. There's a lot of phrases in English that can be really hard to explain, or just concepts that are really hard to pronounce, or concepts that are really hard to understand, or even just pronunciations that are really hard to convey over a computer, like a k sound, because some microphones don't pick up the K sound. Some microphones don't pick up the P sound. There are a lot of technical aspects that go into it as well. Another big con that I just thought about is internet problems. You can have a lot of internet problems that are completely out of your control, and you don't have any control of how to deal with this. It could be your service provider that is not working, or there are a bunch of aspects that could make it difficult to that could make teaching your class difficult, and you just have to remember to stay calm and try again. That's the only way I've gotten through any of my problems, and it actually makes it go faster, because if you deal with it in a hasteful way, you're making mistakes. If you deal with it in a calm and relaxed way, you're very sure of what you're doing, and then you will get through the task or the problem faster. Coming on to my last con, kind of connects with the last one that we have in the disconnect, but it's really hard to control a student that is wild or just busy the whole time. If a student gets up and walks away, there's nothing you can do about it. You can try and call their parents, maybe their parents aren't home, and then shame, now the poor kid's going to be in a lot of trouble, and that's something that you weigh on your heart if you're not heartless. And if they get up and leave, you can't really just go and say, hey, come back, because how hard is it to go away if somebody just screams come back over the computer? That is something that you can't do much about, but it's something that you have to combat, and the key is to not get mad. It might be more simple to say it than do it, but it's the key. Just try not to get mad, because that will force the student to try and do it even worse, or do something that annoys you even more, and you don't want that, now do you? So yeah, that is my list of the pros and cons of teaching English as a foreign teacher, or teaching English as a foreign language, and I really enjoy it. Besides all the cons, adding all the pros, there are so many good and bad things, but you can't have good without bad, and you can't have bad without good. I love online teaching, and I really, really, really wish everybody could do it. And I really just want everybody to learn English. I want to say it's been an honor. I want to say it's been an honor. I want to say it's been an honor for you to watch this video. If you made it all the way through, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the future for next cool and informative English videos. I'm gonna plug my channel too. If you want to find me personally, I am also on YouTube. I am English with ads. Just type it in and you will find me. I make cool, informative English videos that students also can use to learn, and even an English teacher can use to improve their vocabulary or improve your teaching. I hope you have a very, very good day further. Or no, let's not have that. Bye.